Alright, here we go into set number 2, and look at this set number 2, of course, on steps, the second most open map in our map selection next to Prokhorovka. So, Brandon, why don't you take us through this tank selection?
Well, just looking at Silly Ducks Revolution, they have 2 heavy tanks, those 2 AMX-50s, you have 1 T-69 and 2 AMX-13s for their light tanks, and looking at front mission, we have 2 AMX-50s as well, but 2 extra T-32s and 1 light tank in that AMX-13.
Yeah, so definitely more firepower going to be coming out from front mission, but I mean, mobility-wise, definitely in favor of Silly Ducks. Silly Ducks, I mean, looking at the position defensive lineup from front mission, it's going to be extremely hard for Silly Ducks to actually penetrate that defense, just due to the fact that they don't have the frontline tanks to take on the damage necessary to push into that line. So right now, I would recommend Silly Ducks to actually go for the eastern road, because or not the road, but the kind of it's like a crater kind of formation, but there's like a dip in the landscape, and if they go in there, then what they'll be able to do is they'll be able to use the elevation for cover, and then they'll be able to have long range games, which they absolutely have to do, just due to the fact that the other team has so many heavy tanks. They had to poke the enemy tanks down. They have to poke down the members of front mission before they make any kind of move.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they did last time, you know, when front mission took that aggressive position on the map. Like, they slowly poked them down, whittled them down, and then once they went for an objective, took out one of those tanks and got the firepower advantage. I think if they do something similar on this map, it could turn out well for them.
Yeah, and what I would recommend definitely for front mission is just to push down that eastern ridge as well. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're slowly creeping down towards that southern edge of the eastern side of the map. And they can definitely afford to do so because they have 2 T-32s, and what that allows them to do is have an extremely bulky front line, and with those AMX-50s, they also have long-range snipers. So really, as long as they're pushing, they should have no disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, front mission right now, just pushing down this eastern crater way or whatever it is on the map. They don't really see, they only saw 1 tank. I think it was just a T1 or maybe one of their light tanks for Silly Ducks Revolution by the base. So you see one of their T1s just gets taken out on the western side of the map. They have to know that Silly Ducks Revolution is making some kind of push or setting up a position on the western or southwestern part of the map right now.
Yeah, and here we have Black Label actually moving closer to the Silly Ducks base right now. He has spotted Ashigar Musketeer, who is his counterpart in the elite light tank division. I mean, Silly Ducks, they do have an extra light tank. So they do have an Ashigar Musketeer and Timoti in those light tanks. But I mean, Black Label definitely, since the open season, this was his favorite tank, and he has carried so many sets with that MX-13, and maybe he can do it this time around as long as he plays safe and as long as he doesn't take too much damage. And looking right now at the positioning from Silly Ducks, they're extremely defensive right now. They have not at all pushed up the western road or the western side of the map, which most teams like to do, at least this late into the set. They usually, at least, they're kind of in the central part of the western side. But right now, they're really close to their base. They're expecting a push to come out from front mission, and I like that prediction because right now, front mission, they're kind of near. They have, you can't see it on your map right now, but they have about 3 or 4 of their tanks right to the right of the starting position of Silly Ducks, and they have 2 of their MX-50s more towards the center part of the map, still on the eastern side. So, I mean, if front mission decides to push in, honestly, just looking at the position coming up from Silly Ducks, they're going to be in some trouble if they decide to push.
Yeah, Silly Ducks with such a defensive position there, like you just said, just on those rocks there, they have such good cover. If front mission goes for a push right now, it won't turn out well for them, especially since not all their tanks are there. They have a couple of the AMX-50s, or at least 2 of their heavy tanks back towards that northern central area. I mean, they could get some shots down, but I really like the position here out of Silly Ducks Revolution, and front mission really has to be careful, especially after how that last set turned out.
Yeah, and nothing I would do if I were Silly Ducks Revolution is I would just use that extra AMX-13, which they might be doing already, but yeah, definitely send one of their extra elite light tank scouts up to the northern starting position of front mission, and then possibly get like another T1. And if they get another T1, then that's going to deny a lot of vision from front mission, and once they do that, then it's going to open up most of the map for them.
Yeah, I think your position is actually what front mission is thinking at the same time, because they have their T1 totally on the north side of the map. They don't want that AMX-13 to come in and take out one of their T1s and deny a lot of that vision. and force Front Mission into those bad positions.
Yeah, definitely so. And due to that, just due to the fear of those AMX-13s, Front Mission is actually not deciding to push. And that's why they also have those 2 AMX-50s back near their base, is just due to the fact that just in case those faster tanks make it to their base, they want to have enough time and enough a distance to rain down shots onto them.
Yeah, I mean, they're really spread out right now. They have a couple of tanks down there in the southeastern, a couple of the heavy tanks down there in the southeastern quadrant, as well as
and actually it was a mistake by me. Yeah, it's actually Panda Eye, and maybe it might be both their AMX-50s over here. Yes, it is actually both Ripper and Panda Eye on the southern edge of the eastern side of the map, whereas their T-32s are actually kind of like the snipers back there towards their base. So yeah, just a little bit of mix up there, but look at this push, maybe a possible push coming up from City Ducks. They are sending their tanks up here to the northern side of the map on this western side, but I mean, it's really, I mean, they can push up here all they want, but it's really going to come down to if they actually engage. So I mean, you can move wherever you want, but if you don't engage, then it really doesn't matter, honestly. So we'll have to see if they actually decide to engage, but yes, they are in fact moving up here, though they have left one of their AMX-50s back at their base just in case Front Mission decides to push. So I like that move as well. They just got to be careful of a potential surrounding maneuver from Front Mission now, since they're outnumbered.
I think the whole idea behind this maneuver here is that they took out one of the T1s. Front Mission does not know that Silly Ducks Revolution is here.
Exactly.
The only tank they've spotted from Silly Ducks Revolution is that one light tank near the base. Besides that, they know that one of their T1s got killed towards the west, and they don't really know. I mean, they had to assume that they were taking another defensive position near the base Silly Ducks Revolution were, and they were right in that assumption. But now Silly Ducks Revolution is going for, at around 3:30, 4 minutes into this, 4 minutes left, they're going for this western ridge push. They have almost all their tanks up there. They have one heavy tank back there to spot at the base, but besides that, it looks like they're going to try to make something happen up here.
Yeah, definitely so, and they have not been spotted yet, so great job. And they have spotted 3 of those tanks on Front Mission's side, so definitely map control advantage going to Silly Ducks right now, and they are continuing to push. They have made it to the way most northern point of the map in the kind of center line, about the 4 line right now. And look at this, it's going to signal a push actually coming out from Front Mission. They are sending in Black Label, but Black Label has taken a lot of it. Same with Obelisk, so Obelisk almost down right there, but he does manage to make it behind cover. And Amane gonna come in to try and surround these Front Mission members. They're not even gonna go for that base capture. They're just gonna come in from behind, and I love that move coming out right now. Front Mission gonna possibly get fired on from 2 different directions right now.
Yeah, I really like this. Front Mission is really separated right now. They have 2 of their tanks trying to take the base here. You see them moving in there on the map. But besides that, Front Mission just getting, I think, outnumbered up here in the north. I think it's like 4-3 up here, and I'm not sure
they do have the heavier tanks
well. Yeah.
Oh, RNA's in trouble here. Same with Tamodi, actually. Oh no, this is actually looking quite bad for the Silly Ducks. They do manage to take out both the T1s on Front Mission side, but look at that, 2 tier 8s going down immediately. Both Amane and another tier 8. Look at that. They lost both their AMX-13s and an AMX-50, so it's not looking good at all for the Silly Ducks.
Yeah, Silly Ducks, I think their one heavy tank back at their base actually got killed. And from there, the Front Mission just has 2 of their heavy tanks here. They're probably going to start the base capture soon enough. I mean, Silly Ducks Revolution has this base capture going, but they're outnumbered by far. And Front Mission can just keep on raining shots down.
Look how
stop
easy it is for them to delay that base capture. And look at that, the tank also going down. So, but going back to that push, so I really liked the Silly Ducks push. However, at the same time, I think they just spread a little bit too thin. What they should have done maybe is gone from the center road. And then we actually saw that a couple days ago. I forgot which team who actually pulled it off, but one team just went, they sent most of their forces down the center road. Instead of going, way to the west, they just went straight down the middle. And then not only did they push from the south, from the southeast, they also pushed in from directly center of the map.
Yeah.
And that was actually more beneficial, just due to the fact that the forces were closer together, and they were able to focus down individual tanks.
Yeah.
Whereas with the push they just did, the Silly Ducks, they were like on opposite sides of the map. They had a couple tanks, tier 8 tanks down at the southern part of the map, and like 3 tier 8 tanks on the northern side. But the thing is, they're so far apart from each other, they couldn't focus down individual tanks, and they're doing a lot of damage, but they weren't finishing them off. They weren't killing those tanks off, and eventually that just allowed Front Mission to do the same onto them.